I'm about to land in Amsterdam, where I will meet Margie before we fly to Budapest. But things don't always work out as planned, do they, Margie?
I didn't even see Amsterdam. I was running. The minute we landed in Amsterdam, Joan was waiting, and we were running all through the airport. We made it, though. Yay!
It's Sunday in Budapest, and many tourist attractions are closed. We walk to St. Stephen's Basilica, named after Hungary's first king, and whose right hand is displayed as a relic here. First we went up the tower. There are 364 steps, and at the top there is a 360-degree view of the city. Inside the church is the main altar, the cupola, and the shrine with St. Stephen's relics, almost impossible to see. We walked to the river to see the Shoes on the Danube Holocaust Memorial to honor those killed here during World War II. They were ordered to take their shoes off before being shot at the river's edge. That's the Buddhist side of the river. And we passed the chain bridge, one of several bridges that connect Buda and Pest, as we go back to our hotel. This morning on our city tour, we pass another bridge, the Liberty Bridge. We also pass the biggest hot springs bath in Budapest that are quite popular here, on our way to Hero Square. In the square, there is a monument to the 7 Hungarian chieftains and other Hungarian leaders, as well as a tomb to the unknown soldier. On top of the column is Archangel Gabriel. To the left of the square is the Museum of Fine Arts. We are crossing the Elizabeth Bridge to the Buda side of the Danube, going up to Castle Hill, passing Fisherman's Bastion. We are walking to Trinity Square, the heart of Buda's Castle District. The square is named after the Trinity Column that was built to celebrate the end of the plague. In the square is St. Matthias Church that dates back to the 13th century. Fisherman's Bastion, a lookout with 7 towers for the 7 tribes, a bronze statue of King St. Stephen, the Trinity Column, and the Old Town Hall. From the top of Fisherman's Bastion, there are exceptional views of the square, and the Pest side of the Danube. That's the Hungarian Parliament. Free time is over, and we walk back to the bus. Still on the Buddhist side of the Danube, we passed the Hungarian Parliament on the way to our last activity, a wine tasting.
In the north as well, but a little bit closer. This wine region is 80 kilometers far from here.
Why is Margie's tasting pour bigger? It's Halloween. We're on a pedestrian shopping street on the way to the central market hall. Opened in 1897, this is the largest indoor market in the city. It has 3 floors. The main level has butcher shops, fresh produce, and various specialty shops, and lots of paprika. The top floor has an area devoted to souvenirs and also fast food stands. We tried the langos, a deep-fried dough with various toppings. We chose a cheese topping. Leaving the market, we walked across Liberty Bridge, the shortest of the 8 bridges. He's making chimney cakes. A traditional pastry rolled around a cylinder. Brushed with melted butter, rolled in granulated sugar, and then baked above charcoal. They're really good. This is Andrassy Avenue, a wide boulevard with upscale shops. The Opera House, where statues of famous composers line the roof. A piece of the Berlin Wall. A monument to the Iron Curtain. In Freedom Square, Ronald Reagan is honored for his stand against communism. A coffee break at this pastry shop. What'd you get, Margie?
Very sweet, good. I ate it all, see.
Upstairs, marzipan sculptures are on display. That's the Hungarian Parliament. And looking towards it is a national hero, Imre Nagy. The Parliament building is just over 100 years old, currently the largest building in Hungary and the tallest in Budapest. The Hungarian Honor Guard. The Visitor Center. A statue of Prime Minister Andrassy. It's time to board the ship. Every time we pass under a bridge, we're supposed to make a wish. That's the Buddha side. Make a wish. That's the Pest side. another wish. Dinner is followed by a Halloween party.
Happy Halloween!
We spend the day cruising to Vienna. Passing by Bratislava, our ship raises the Slovakian flag. Bratislava, the capital, is a young, prosperous city with many high-tech industries. The castle, built in the 9th century, is known as a symbol of the city. Matthew Stubbs, one of only 354 masters of wine in the world, is hosting a wine tasting for us.
First of all, is it clear? Second thing, what else do we notice about this wine when we look at it? It's got bubbles. This is a sparkling wine. The Germans are the biggest consumers of sparkling wine in the world.
It's time for afternoon cake, and then a waltzing demonstration with instructions.
Side together, left side together, right side together. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
We wake up in Vienna. That's the modern side of the city. We're going on the Old Town tour. This is part of Hofburg Palace. Emperor Joseph II. This part of Hofburg Palace is St. Michael's Wing. Demmel's, a pastry and chocolate shop, is an imperial bakery established in 1786. This is the pedestrian shopping street known as Graben. Another plague column, finished in 1694, is dedicated to the thousands killed by the plague of 1679. St. Stephen's Cathedral, begun in 1167, has spires 447 feet tall. Inside, the high altar represents the stoning of St. Stephen. St. Peter's Church is near the most expensive shopping streets here. Margie is relaxing before our wine pairing dinner, which is followed with entertainment by the talented Pressburger duo from Bratislava.
We have wines from Hungary, we have wines from Austria, and we have wines from Germany. Try it.
It's wine, and I like it.
traditional instrument. It is shepherd's pipe, shepherd's flute, and it's biggest 3 holes overtone flute on the world. It was written also in the UNESCO, in Heritage of Cultures, like a special shepherd's pipe from Slovakia, and it's called fujara.
Dürnstein is a small town in the Wachau Valley of Austria. Known for the blue and white bell tower and castle ruins. We walked to town with the guide. The church, with its blue and white tower, was part of this monastery from the early 1700s. Behind town is a path to the castle ruins where Richard the Lionheart was imprisoned in 1192. Leaving Dürnstein, we passed through the valley known for its vineyards and picturesque towns. We've arrived at Melk Abbey. Founded in 1089, it was destroyed by fire and rebuilt in the 18th century. Through the main entrance, passing under one of the many frescoes, we arrive in the courtyard. We begin the tour, and at the end, we exit onto a terrace with a view of the west side of the abbey and the town of Melk. Last stop is inside the church with its fresco-decorated dome and gold covering just about everything you see. We walk through the small town of Melk back to the ship, where we'll have a special wine tasting.
We'll be trying 3 different wines. Have a sniff. And typical for the Wachau are the fruity elements. Let me give you your brief guide to Austrian cooking. The Austrian menu is divided into 3 sections: pork, pig, and swine. Vegetables are what we feed our food.
We're in Český Krumlov, and this is the back of the 13th century castle that dominates the town. The colorful tower is almost 180 feet tall. The walls here and on buildings all around town are painted to give them a 3-dimensional look. All that fancy stonework is merely painted on. We're on the connecting bridge we first saw when we arrived. That's Emperor Leopold, a victim of inbreeding. And a great view of the old town. The old town itself is like a fairy tale town, with its cobblestone streets lined with shops, historic buildings, and places to eat. We ate here. Really good dumplings and sauerkraut. We spent a little time walking off those dumplings. At the town square, where there's another plague column, we meet to be transported to Passau, where our ship is waiting for us. We pass the Walhalla Memorial that honors distinguished people in German history as we sail through Regensburg, one of Germany's oldest towns. The vaulted stone bridge, a medieval masterpiece, is Germany's oldest, built in the 12th century. This is the remains of the east tower of the Porta Pretoria, a Roman fortress from the 2nd century, and the city gate. Although a church has been at this location since the year 700, St. Peter's Cathedral that we see today was completed in the early 1300s. Inside you can see stained glass from the Middle Ages. The main altar is made of silver. Town Hall Square in the old town hall, one of the medieval skyscrapers that were built by merchants to showcase their wealth. Biblical paintings such as this were often found on building facades in the 1500s. The bell tower of St. Emmeren's Church. The interior was so much more impressive than the outside. Just beyond the arch is the historic sausage kitchen, where they have been serving food for over 800 years. The ship gave us a voucher to try the sausages, served with sauerkraut, bread, and beer. A last look from the stone bridge. Before returning to the ship. We're just in time for cake and catching up on email. Bavaria is known for its beer, and these local experts host a tasting of 4 different beers. Tonight is our special farewell dinner, and there's a lot to choose from. and, as you may guess, lots of wine.
Say, we met some very good friends.
The glass.
Okay, what am I supposed to do?
This is our best waiter.
Okay.
Ivan.
Lady in my arms.
We passed through 25 locks during our trip, many while we're asleep. This one, Eckersmühlen, is one of the highest, about 81 feet. And everyone watches as we go through and learn about the process. Like an elevator, the door opens and out we go. Today is a special Bavarian lunch. And then we're en route to see a smithing demonstration.
This is Thomas, our blacksmith for today.
You take it.
Yeah, you try. And we prepared some sparkling wine for you. Napoleon, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
Emperor of France.
Yes.
And when he won a battle, he always cut it a bottle of champagne with his spear.
Yes, I'm going to
You know, your thumb there. You're cutting on this glass with a strike.
Not as hard as I see. And make sure it doesn't hit Joan. Stop pointing that in my direction, guys.
Yeah. Nobody will be hurt.
Is that heavy? Are you used to it?
What if I drop the whole glass?
There's smash. Whoa, very good.
Again. Yeah.
That's very good too. Yeah.
The highlight of our visit includes certificates and a photo op. This is the town of Roth. The main site here is the castle, which was built as a hunting lodge in 1535. Our tour takes us past hunting trophies by the stained glass windows that depict the owner with his coat of arms. Interesting chandelier. The ceremonial hall covered with paintings of mythological scenes. The Protestant church was also built in the 1500s. The old city wall behind the sculpture, the half-timbered houses, and a quick spin around the town square. That's Roth. We just arrived in Prague and are anxious to see the sights. first stop is the astronomical clock that puts on a show every hour. In Old Town Square, we're surrounded by buildings of historic importance. The two spires on the 14th century Church of Our Lady are not symmetrical. One represents man and is called Adam, the other is Eve. This is the Dvorak Concert Hall. Looking beyond the Dvorak statue is Prague Palace. The castle complex dates from the 9th century and is the official office and residence of the President of the Czech Republic. According to the Guinness Book of Records, it is the largest ancient castle in the world. At the entrance, a changing of the guard. Beyond this courtyard is St. Vitus Cathedral, whose construction began in 1344. This is a view of the main tower and Golden Gate, the eastern side, inside the nave and sanctuary, and of course beautiful stained glass windows. St. George's Basilica and Convent. St. George slaying the dragon. The castle entrance gate decorated with fighting giants. Back in town, we stopped at a market where we found a mix of souvenirs and food. Those are nutcrackers, and Margie tries it out, but unfortunately their results have a lot of shells. We're walking to Wenceslas Square on a high-end shopping street. In the square, St. Wenceslas is surrounded by Czech patron saints. That's the National Museum. This is part of the Royal Way, the traditional coronation route of Czech kings. The Old Town Bridge Tower, along with the bridge, were built under the rule of Charles IV in the late 14th century. Between 1638 and 1928, 30 statues of saints were carved to decorate the bridge. Rub this for good luck. At the end of the bridge are the lesser bridge towers. A little shopping on our way to the hotel. This is the Powder Tower, one of the original 13 city gates built in the 15th century. Tonight is an entertaining folklore show with dinner.
If you want, we can teach you very special Czech dance, which we call mazurka.
What?
I am a talented dancer. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
Carolina. One, two, smile, stop, bravo, you are excellent. You are clever. Smile, turn around. Hey.
We're in Melnik today, and the first thing our guide points out is the manhole cover with the Melnik coat of arms. We're here to see the castle and taste some wine. Here come some grapes. We go to the cellar for our wine tasting. After the tasting, we have a tour of the castle. We're guided through several rooms. And this is the exit to Old Town Melnik. We're back in Prague. This is our last night. I can't believe our trip is over.